Okay.
Yes, we are in live
We
now,
are in
sir.
live now, sir.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Thank you. A very good morning.
So,
Morning.
very good morning
Very
to
good
all the
morning to all the
participants,
participants.
and it is a
And it
great
is a
pleasure
great
to
pleasure
have you all
to have
here
you all
for
here
Knowledge
for
4.0
Knowledge
webinar
4.0
series,
webinar series.
it is one of the
It is
unique
one of the
initiatives
unique
of
initiatives
Chennai Institute
of
of
Chennai Institute of
Technology under the
Technology
guidance
under the
of our
guidance of
Honorable
our
Chairman,
Honorable
Shri
Chairman,
P.
Shri P.
Sriram, a
Sriram, a
successful
successful
first-generation
first generation
entrepreneur, a
entrepreneur,
well-known
a well-known
industrialist, and
industrialist,
managing
and
director
managing
of
director
MK
of
Group of
MK Group
Companies.
of Companies.
Under Knowledge
Under
4.0
Knowledge
series,
4.0
we have been
series, we have been
conducting
conducting
webinar series
webinar
such as
series such as
Technical Webinar
Technical
Series,
Webinar Series,
Express Webinar
First
Series,
Webinar Series,
Career Guidance
Career
Webinar
Guidance
Series,
Webinar,
Alumni Webinar
Alumni
Series,
Webinar
and
Series,
Innovation
and
Webinar
Innovation
Series.
Webinar Series.
And today,
And
we
today,
have
we
Technical
have
Webinar
Technical
Series
Webinar Series
titled
titled
E-Vehicle, the
E-Vehicle,
Future
the Future
Transporter. It is
Transporter.
going
It
to
is
be
going to be
handled by
handled
Mr.
by
P.
Mr. P.
Srikandan,
Srikandan,
Director,
Director,
Powertrain, Ola
Powertrain, Ola
Electric
Electric
Mobility Private Limited.
Private Limited.
Chennai Institute of
Chennai Institute of
Technology was
Technology was
established in the year
established in the year
2010 by
2010
Honorable
by
Chairman
Honorable Chairman
Mr. P.
Mr. P.
Sriram,
Sriram,
and now
and now
our institute
our
is being
institute is
ranked
being
within
ranked within
top 10
top
institutes
10
among
institutes
private
among
engineering
private
colleges
engineering
in
colleges
Tamil
in
Nadu.
Tamil Nadu.
And it is a
And it
great
is a
pleasure
great
to
pleasure
introduce
to
our guest
introduce our guest
speaker,
speaker,
Mr. P.
Mr. P.
Manikandan.
Manikandan.
He has completed his
Completed
BE
his
in
BE in
Electronics,
Electronics,
Physical and
Electrical
Electronics
and
Engineering
Electronics
in
Engineering in
1960,
1960.
and he has
And he has
completed
completed
his PCC BM
PCC
in
BM
Business
in Business
Management in
Management in
Exercise.
Exercise.
He started
He
his
started
career
his career
as project
as project
engineer
engineer
in
in
Worldwide
Worldwide
Communications Private
Communications
Limited.
Private
Then
Limited.
he played
Then
the
he
role
played
Dhanalakshmi,
the
one
role
second.
in
Dynamic Software
Dynamic
Group.
Software Group.
He was
He
the
was
head of
the head of
engineering.
Dhanalakshmi, one
engineering.
second.
One second.
Sir,
சார் லைன் சார் கொஞ்சம் இது மியூட் பண்ண முடியுமா சார்? Oh, yes, sure. So I think there was some echo. இப்போ Dhanalakshmi,
yes, sir.
proceed.
Yes, sir. So he started his career as project engineer in Worldwide Communications Private Limited. Then he played the role as team leader in Dynamic Software Group. He was the head of engineering, electric mobility in Bosch Engineering and Business Solutions for more than 3 years. Then he played as a department head, electric powertrain development in Bosch, and he is the founder and president of Society for Smart E-Mobility, and he is currently now working as director powertrain in Ola Electric Mobility Private Limited. We are happy to have you here, sir. Now I hand over the session to Mr. Manikandan, sir.
Yeah, many
I
thanks.
will share
I will
this.
share this.
Yeah, very thanks. Many thanks, Dhanalakshmi. Thanks, Balamurali as well. And also, I sincerely extend my gratitude also to Mr. Sriram, who has been very constantly in touch with the industry regularly, and he also has the inquisitiveness to learn what is happening in the industry from time to time. So I am very delighted to be here to present this session amongst you. I think though this is a weekend, I could see a lot of people who are interested to learn about the technological transformation, and that shows that what is the commitment that the institution has, and the students and the faculty members and the professionals have towards the transformation. As all of us are going through a difficult situation right now due to this COVID pandemic. I mean, this is impacting the global economy. It's impacting our lives largely, and it's also creating a lot of economical transformations. So in this situation, the one industry which is the largest employer of the world is automotive industry. This is all we all very well know about the fact. So, and also it is one of the largest revenue generator in the world. So interestingly, the topic today is going to focus on this transformation in automotive industry, in particularly how this situation is going to offer us post-COVID, and in terms of the technical transformation, economical transformation, and in terms of the opportunities, and also in terms of the employability that we would foresee due to this transformation. So apart from we been quarantined for a couple of months, at home, what we should notice or hear one thing which is really very significantly emerging as a I don't know how are you tracking the news regularly? There is one news I just wanted to bring into all your notice. This is especially that the pollution level across the globe, and especially in Delhi, if you see, it is very drastically has come down, right? And this gives us a message. That this there is a method called PM level 2.5, which is really required to or which is the kind of basis point for the people to live in any city. And the PM level 2.5 in Delhi has for the first time in many decades has come down, thanks to Corona, right? So Corona has created, or it has given that lesson that the vehicles that we are using today is majorly contributing to the pollution level and also impacting our lives, and it's also kind of giving us a thought process to look at the alternative solution. This is on the one hand side. On the other hand side, if you look at the market and trends, the vehicle sales per se, of course, 2019 itself, the automotive sales started dropping. But during the pandemic situation, if you closely watch the market, it is much more down. It is 18% down even compared to 2019 level. That means the automotive sales is drastically dropping. Okay, this is one information. What is another point that we have to notice, especially countries like Europe. If you look at Europe is an automotive enthusiastic geography, I would say. But in Europe, if you closely look at the market, the new car sales happened in the last 3 months. Okay, there is a 24% increase for EVs. Right? So this is these two messages or these two news are conveying us that we are we as a society, we as a generation have realized, or even the Corona outbreak has taught us a lesson that we have to be mindful about the global warming, right? And it's also given us a black and white picture of how this changes that we should look at. So looking forward or going forward, the sustainable mobility solution, which would also brings down the pollution, air pollution, which also brings down the global warming, is what really would work for us. And the society has realized, thanks to the pandemic and this realization note, I would like to start the presentations that what I would be discussing with you for the next 45 minutes or so. So we were going to talk about the EV transformation. So EV came as a disruption a couple of years ago. Let's say it is the second wave of EV started in the 2008 or the first or second decade of this century. When I say it is the second wave, when was the first wave? The first wave of EV was 100 years ago. Means in 1894, if you consider the city of New York, the number of electric vehicles produced or running in the city of New York is higher than the number of vehicles running on steam engines and gasoline engines. So then came a person called Henry Ford, and he has transformed the industry to more on ICE based vehicles. So now it is the second wave. That means we are re-looking at that electric vehicle, which is 100-year-old technology, in a new form. So how this new form has come? This how the new form has come because of the advancement in battery technology. We know that lithium ion has got highest energy density right now, which is competing with gasoline, because gasoline, of course, gasoline and diesel has got much more higher energy density. I mean, the amount of energy they can occupy in a cubical area or cubic meter is higher in gasoline and diesel. And that's the reason we transformed to ICE. But now we are going back to electric, because the energy density in electricity or electric storage devices like lithium ion batteries is also improving. Of course, there are a lot of other studies, advanced level, it's happening to look at alternative electric sources, so that the future can be more sustainable. So one question people would ask me now and then is that if you completely transform all the vehicle into electric, right, what happens? The demand for electricity increases, right? Because the all the vehicles, let's say we know we have close to 80 billion cars across the world, and two-wheeler, I don't know, I can't imagine, the numbers are very high, I don't want even calculate that. So these many vehicles get converted to electric, and the demand for electricity increases. But there is a recent study. If you can read this Bloomberg, they have done a study and they have published an article. By 2040, what happens is the world will get transformed to electric vehicles, and any new vehicle, I mean, at least 58% of the vehicle in the market would be electric. So when we go to that level, that means that the diesel or the consumption of fossil fuel is going to come down, and electricity consumption is going to increase. At that level, let's say all the 60% of the world, the vehicles are electric, including the future demands in 2040. The electricity demand to cater to this need would increase by 5.2%. And that 5.2% electricity demand increase definitely at the measures that the governments are taking today, it is possible to achieve. That is the prediction and study it says. I just wanted to convey this as a message that we don't really worry about the availability of electricity, but we should worry about the availability of fossil fuel. So oil and oil reserves are getting depleted. By 2040, we will not have enough oil to run this vehicle. That is the message. So we don't have oil, but we have to have something, that is the electric mobility. This picture shows the pollution level in Delhi post-COVID. This was taken pre-COVID. So this is Delhi is one of the largest polluted city in the world, and these pollution levels are increasing, and the city is becoming not livable. And you know that every year close to 3 million people across the world die. Premature death happens because of this pollution. So that is one thing that we should be worried about, apart from global warming. In global warming, the temperature increase is almost touching the tip. Another 0.02% increase will create some devastating situation. A lot of species will become extinct. We already have, living in a world where most of our the past species are not there. But we have to also see that how we are saving the planet Earth and keeping it in the livable condition for the next generation by effectively transforming our mobility situation. Yeah, we can move to the next slide. So this picture, people time and again asking you will have to generate electricity, and if you generate electricity also you will use coal or some kind of even fossil fuels. So anyway, you are transforming the pollution from the vehicle to somewhere else. And this is the message I keep getting, or people are coming back to me. So this picture clearly shows that if you invest in renewable sources, let us say that you put in close to $100 billion in producing electricity through fossil fuel, and the same $100 billion you put it in producing electricity through renewable sources like solar and wind, okay, and you generate electricity. The energy available at the wires or at the charging stations, if you compare that, the fuel available at the fuel pumps for the same money you put, it is at least 7 to 8 times higher in renewable sources. That means renewable sources are much cheaper to produce, much economical, and they give higher efficiency. And this is only on the supply side. If you look at the demand side, even if you use the vehicle side, right? We are all very well know that the energy cannot be produced. Energy can only transfer from one form to another form. So how much energy that as a society we would be wasting in using fossil fuel? Okay, your efficiency of your ICE engine, people, I know the mechanical engineering, they know for sure that it is 30 to 35%. But any electric based propulsion, the efficiency we can achieve easily around 80% and more. So that's the, even if you look at that way, we would be really doing good to the society if you transform to electric mobility, that too through renewable sources of electricity production. And 5%, 5.2% increase in demand in electricity, definitely the governments should invest in electric or producing electricity through renewable sources, and they'll save hugely. There is one more interesting study. Probably I will come to that in the question and answer session. That talks about the economies of the countries, which is if we move to electric mobility. So we can move to the next slide, which is talking about the business situation in the new society. So how this business is getting transformed. Yeah. You see, currently you have standard products, ICE engine, which is more than 100-year-old, time tested, proven technology, and a lot of improvements already happened, in terms of efficiency also. And the 1% efficiency increase is a very huge task for us to invest. You know that from Bharat stage 4 to Bharat stage 6, how much that the companies, the OEMs have invested. So it is very huge, and the market is really standardized. You have standard product, standard application, and everything is standardized, and standard buyers also. So the buyers also have very limited choices. This is what going to get transformed when we move to electric. So how it is going to transform? What is the driving factor for this transformation? The driving factor for the transformations are, there are two things, which is major driving factor. One is the emergence of mega cities, where cities are becoming mega cities, or rather more and more people are moving towards cities across the globe. You know that even in India, a lot of people are moving towards the city. We know that how the pandemic also impacting Chennai, because more and more people have moved to Chennai from rest of the state. So like that, everywhere people move into our city, and cities are getting highly populated, and the transportation requirement for cities is becoming critical, and they need different solution. And secondly, the generation next, or generation Y, Z, or something, the new generation really, certainly, they more focused on the environment than the current, I would say, generation like ours. Yeah. So the new generation wanted to really see that they wanted to transform, and they also wanted to look at the easy mode of the mobility. They also becoming more capital hours society. So they do not wanted to go invest in capital to show their what do you call their capacity. Rather, they wanted to really have a good life, balanced or luxurious life in different form. Yeah. So this is what is also another driving factor which is forcing us to get transformed. And for the first time in the history, after many years or many decades, the electric mobility bringing in a lot of new companies to come and play in the automotive industry. You said Tesla is suddenly came from somewhere. It's the last 2010 they emerged as a major OEM, and today they are the highly valued automotive company in the world. So they may setting back companies like BMW, Mercedes, GM, and all. So how they could achieve within this short span of time, because they move to new technology and they bring in the new form of sustainable solution, which makes them put them on number one. So like that, even the technology, because electric mobility, the technology is very easy and simple. That is making a lot of companies to invest and come. And the technology companies like Google, Apple are investing in electric mobility. Another major transformation is the advancement of telecommunication. We are now 4G, we are moving to 5G, and 5G brings us a lot of opportunity for us to have connected mobility. So when connected mobility happens, a lot of sharing mobility happens. Yeah, the effective usage of resources improves. And the safety of the vehicle and safety of the transportation also increases. So all this together, the new technology emerges, and that will be the future trend. And the basis for the future trend is first of all moving from the IC vehicle to the electric vehicle. So we can move to the next item, which I'm also wanted to touch upon a point, is that how this moving from IC to electric vehicle, yeah, is bringing opportunities. Yeah, if you look at on the left side, the view, which is talking about the picture which tells about the regular vehicle, two-wheeler, three-wheeler, four-wheeler, commercial vehicles. These are different type of automobile that we are currently seeing, and all this is the technology based on ICE. Look on the right side, these are the technologies emerging, which is based on electric. So electric propulsion system makes the technology simpler. So your two-wheeler, you can also make the same application with a single wheel, with the same look and feel. You see, so that how it is reducing the form factor and how it is reducing so much of environmental impact and also the cost impact, and also the giving the comfort and increasing the the luxury to the rider and reducing the pollution, reducing the space utilization, and so many advantages when you move from this to this. Yeah. So your single wheel is possible because if in a IC engine you have so much of system. I'll come to that later. But when it's electric, it will become more simpler. If you look at the four-wheeler, you don't have to have a four-wheeler anymore. The four-wheeler can become three-wheeler, two-wheel, but it will still can give the same, the feel and comfort, driving comfort, and also the mobility comfort. And you look at the drones, and the top corner is something called personal rapid transportation system or group rapid transportation system, where a small cable car can run around the city, and you can board in at a different some place, and it can go. I mean, it is you construct, for example, a monorail system or a metro rail system. It is going to be very expensive, and electric mobility makes it simpler. You make a simple car based on electric, and just above the ground, you just float this around. It can go on its own. It can charge when the charge goes off, and a simple vehicle can get two to three people, which can go around the city. Many numbers can be put. As many, it can be scaled up easily, and it can be a new mode of transportation to reduce the traffic. So this is the new applications that can emerge when we move to electric propulsion. Next. So, what is the impact of this transformation inside the vehicle or vehicle technology or automobile engineering? How this is going to impact the engineering? Well, that is what we are all interested to know, because we are engineers and we would like to know what is the new type of engineering that I have to focus when this transformation happens. Okay. The major transformation is going to be on the powertrain, right? The powertrain becomes or it is transforms or it is getting updated from ICE to electric. That means in an electric powertrain, you have three or four major components. The main component is the electric motor or electric machine, which is the prime mover of the vehicle or the propulsion system. And that will be controlled by a controller, which can be called as a inverter or inverter plus converter or inverter plus controller. So we call it as a drive unit. This drive unit which controls the motor, and that is the second component. And third component, of course, your battery, right? And battery is the one of the major component which is really going to be the energy source. And the fourth component is, of course, the charging and all the power electronics or DC-DC converter, all the power electronic system. This is the fourth major component. This will be inside the vehicle or outside the vehicle also. So these are the major changes that is coming up in the powertrain system. So this is a huge opportunity for all of us. I mean, that means it doesn't mean that only electrical engineers or electronics, power electronic engineers as job. But what happens is this has got a lot of other disciplines also should work together to make this, because it has got a electronics, it has got mechanical system, it has got temperature management. I mean, all this has to work. You have to effectively manage the temperature. Same thermodynamics, which is already there in IC, which will be carried forward to even electric, and you will have software. So software is going to increase largely, because most of the things works on a control system. It's basically a software-based control. Whereas in the IC engine, it is sensor-based control, actuator-based control. But here it is mostly a software-based control. And second is your body, your oxide system and your body system. So if I look at body, it's going to have a lot of research happening on lightweighting. So the materials science will go through a transformation. Lightweighting, a lot of companies across Europe, if you see, they are focusing on lightweighting, because your energy availability, if you increase or if you reduce the weight, you can achieve more range. So, so we are all focused on the range, right? Range anxiety is another problem in agricultural area. So to increase the range, we also need to focus on this body construction and all other components without compromising the comfort and the safety. We have to look at improvising on the body. So this is another area. And then another area is when with all the things are getting transformed to electric mobility, what would differentiate from one vehicle manufacturer to another vehicle manufacturer, or what is that user gets the differentiation when things are getting standardized like this? It is only the infotainment or the electronics or the user experience that he gets into the vehicle. The vehicle is getting transformed from mere a commuting device to an entertainment device in the future. And that will be the differentiating factor. So these are the things which is going to create opportunities, and these are the things in the engineering transformation that will going to happen. Of course, it's only the top ones I've listed. Of course, there are a lot of other things also, but these are things that you can immediately look at. So next. So I like to go a little deep inside on the component level interaction. If you see the left side, this pyramid shows how the component level interactions are going to happen from every part of the automobile, not only the motor, controller, or propulsion system, but every part of the automobile is going to be a lot of interaction happening, and this is what the picture shows. And in terms of the opportunity availability in the transformation, it's going to be $1 trillion USD. So from now until 2030, so another 10 years, okay, post pandemic, and there is a prediction also says that the electric mobility is going to rapidly grow. So so this 10 years $1 trillion opportunity is huge, and most at least 35% of this opportunity would be in powertrain, another 35% in connected mobility solution, and the third part comes from the mobility as a service or mobility solutions, what the industry is going to benefit. And these are some of the key factors that you have to look at. Yeah, so to do the transformation. Next slide. Next slides. I would like to also go touch upon another area which is related to the components, right? So the engine is now become motor, but it is also we have to get notice that the number of components is going to come down. Right? In a typical engine system, you will have close to 200 to 300 parts, 300 different parts. So many different industries or sub-industries were working on this. But now these would become mainly 6 to 7 components. So the number of moving parts in an electric propulsion system is going to really comes down. And this also going to have another impact. The second major impact due to this is the servicing. So the number of moving part is less. The requirement for service is also going to be less. So that means for the user, the biggest advantage is that he wants the maintenance of the vehicle is going to be really very less or even meager or nil. So the Tesla owners are really bored. Yeah, I heard a lot of stories I'm hearing about people owning Teslas in North America, that since they bought the car, some of them, they say they don't get any problem, and if there are problems, some call comes from Tesla, and they say even before they wanted noticing that there was an issue, the call comes from Tesla, and they say that this was the problem that we faced in your car, we noticed in your car, and this is automatically serviced through a wireless transformation of update of software. So these are called FOTA, flashing over the air. So using this, we have updated the software. Now this problem will not be there. The owner not even realize that there was a problem, and also he also not realize that it already rectified, already solved. So this is the other advantage which is the user going to get, and the system is going to transform. Next. So this in terms of how this efficiency is going to improve. You see how this engine and how big it is, and how it is going to reduce in terms of size, in terms of efficiency, and in terms of the overall throughput, and in terms of number of components. Yeah, and also the gearbox. So typically in IC engine, it's a slow speed system, whereas our electric motor is a high speed and high torque, and you get the full torque even at 0 speed. So you don't need also the transmission systems, only to basically to reduce because your speed had to be maintained at certain level. So we will have one reduction gear for that. Otherwise, the system remains really simple in EV. The most let us say complex or critical component in EV would be the battery. Yeah, so battery is going to occupy more space and more weight, and a more or critical part of the overall costing as well. So that is the only issue that these people are now working largely. But when you compare to the 2000 or 1990 to 2020 today, the price of lithium ion has dropped to 84%, right? And it is still going to drop as the production increases. It would drop further, and they say 2025, where the price of EV will be same, or it would on par with the price of gasoline based vehicle. So both will be equal, including the battery. Yeah. So when that becomes equal and your running expense is really nil, because every kilometer you spend very little energy, electricity, and electricity is much cheaper to compared to your gasoline, and this is going to be more economical, or I would say the ICE, that stage, when we reach that stage, ICE cannot compete with the EV. So that is the interesting point that we should note. Next point. Not only that, so this picture shows how we can even further optimize from that level. Say once you reach equivalent to ICE, and once you use, when you reach your cost of transport per kilometer comes down, let's say from 2025 onwards. So how do we further optimize from that level? That means you can go, let's say now, you know that in the globally there is a statistic which talks about the cost of mobility, right? So how much money that you spend per kilometer, right? So the average cost across the globe, if you take a measure, the average cost spent per kilometer of mobility is around $1 to $3, depending on which part of the world you are, right? So now the motivation is to bring this down to further levels. That means in 2030, the target is to reach 30 cents per kilometer travel. So this is what is an opportunity that we are going to have in the transport industry. So that will that be not good for the society if you bring down the cost of transportation, right? Definitely it is, yes, right? So we can further optimize using some hybrid systems, some fuel cells. I put a fuel cell based hybrid here, and there are a lot of research happening on fuel cell also. And when we are talking about all this, interestingly, there is something happening across the world. GM and Tesla has announced that they have come out with a battery solution or battery storage system. Once you charge, or once you fix it in the vehicle, it can run up to 1.2 million kilometers. You can charge and discharge and use it, and this life of the battery would be 1.2 million kilometers, right? So average any vehicle that you use today, maybe people are using for commercial use, probably they might go to some 300,000-400,000 kilometers, right? So such a tremendous improvement has happened, and such a battery system is emerging. That means if you say 1.2 million, then once you fix it and you don't really worry about at all for your life or generations, you can use the same car, right? So that is another factor. I mean, if you do that, the now new car production also going to come down. I mean, that is another study. Maybe we can discuss later. So this is what the possibility for optimization. Can you move on? Sorry. So here I just want to also a little bit deep dive into battery. So the different type of chemistry available in battery. Let's say people talk about NMC, NCA, or LFP, or lithium titanate. Each of these chemistry has got its own energy density, its own safety figures and its own cost also, and its own method of producing. Those different chemistries. Okay. But what I have highlighted is LFB. LFP has got highest temperature withstandability and also highest safety, but it also has a fairly better life than other. And this is one thing which probably may be suitable. I mean, in Indian environment conditions. So for India, this may be suitable because now people are using NMC, NC, and all that. But yeah, this is one thing we can look at it. Of course, some companies also now started moving more slowly towards the LFP. LFP is the reason is the weight is a little, I mean, energy density compared to NCA is slightly lesser, but it gives all other advantage of safety, temperature stability, and life cycle and all that. But of course, if you look at fuel cell, you have a huge energy density compared to your lithium ion, and fuel cell has got 6,000 times more energy density than lithium ion, right? So, big commercial applications like trucks and all, we can think about using fuel cells instead of lithium ion, because right now fuel cell the cost is really higher. Once the mass produced, that is will come down, but the energy density is much higher than lithium ion. Yeah. Next. This is about different charging methods and charging this thing, level 1, level 2, level 3, that's what we say. And we have AC charging, and we have DC charging, and we have AC slow charging, and AC fast charging, and DC slow charging, and DC fast charging. With the DC fast charging, of course, this slide was slightly, now today the available technology with DC fast charging with 300 kilowatt, we can even charge battery of 60 kilowatt within 2 to 3 minutes. So the technology has really become so much advanced now. But of course, for any average use, in the home use, I still would suggest that the home charger is good enough for your daily usage, unless otherwise the vehicle is used for commercial purposes or long distance travel. We really don't need very high power chargers. But the message is there. People are talking about charging. I have to go wait in this petrol pump. Petrol pump I can fill within 2-3 minutes, whereas charging I am not able to fill. It takes hours together to charge a vehicle. And this message is only to those kind of people who has this hype or the wrong information that even in electric vehicle we can charge 2-3 minutes, but only thing is you need to have very high power DC fast chargers. Yeah. The next slide. Different motors. I mean, yeah, you have we are transformed from ICE to electric motor, but one message I want to say is ICE is basically you have inline engine, you have V-type engine. Some designs are there with respect to the power output, with respect to the CC capacity, with respect to the HP and all that. So like that, we also have different varieties of motors being used in EV application. And there's also a lot of interesting innovations happening in motor manufacturing, motor development, and traction motor is definitely is taking a traction now, and there are a lot of companies are investing heavily on that. And every day I hear some new technology coming up in electric motor, and these are the technology which is most widely used now. And if you look at any type of machine can be used: induction machine, BLDC, interior permanent magnet, or permanent magnet synchronous machine, or sync or axial flex motor, which is also very popular nowadays. So these are the motors that can be used, and this is motor technology that we need to focus. And this a lot of electric machine development should happen in India. So this is the opportunity, I would say. Next. So not only in motors, there's a lot of innovations happening in power electronics as well. So the electronics basically in automotive application, they have to withstand temperature, life, minimum life, and things like that, safety conditions and all that. So due to that, we need more electric vehicle coming, and the vehicle is needing more power. So we'll have to see how this can be achieved through electronic components. So electronic components also need to withstand such capability. So there is a focused research happening on next levels in power electronics. And today, if IGBTs are very widely used, future IGBT will move to SiC based, transistors, and there is also gallium arsenic based transistors. So these are the research in terms of power electronics, and they're depending on the temperature capabilities and also the cost. We also already started reducing in the cost of electronics as well, majorly. So a lot of things happening in power electronics also. The next slide. So that is what I've said. I've come to mostly the end of this session. So this would like to summarize our discussions, and then we can open up for question and answer. The electric is the future, and electric mobility with the renewable sources, definitely the transportation will be more cleaner and sustainable and more environment friendly for the future. And there are a lot of things, advancement happening in terms of the optimizing the systems and efficiency and improving the performance. And a lot of these electric mobility needs new development, and software content is going to increase a lot. And we are being a software nation, and we have the strategic advantage. You know that now the situation also kind of favoring us. China is after COVID-19, the countries are would move or would not buy things from China, and it is a good opportunity for India actually, if we can work on the component development, right? So there's a good opportunity, and software skills are very high here. We being software, we have advantage, and we are the youngest country, nation in the world. So huge opportunity. In fact, we should take a leading position. We should drive the electric mobility transformation for rest of the world, and that is what I would like to convey as a message. Thank you so much. Sorry, these are all. I mean, that's okay.
Okay. Shall I close the screen share, sir?
Any questions?
Yes, sir. We have few questions from the participant side.
You are not audible actually. Can you be a little bit louder?
Sir, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Okay. Sir, Mr. Krishnan has asked, according to electric vehicle usage, it leads to increase the level of e-waste. How we are going to tackle this situation?
Very good question. Interestingly, if you look at the four major components, let's say electric motor, yeah, and power electronics including IGBTs and things like that. And the third major portion, most critical portion is that these are the waste. Yeah. So electric machines, let's say, it's 150 years old technology. Everybody know. I have seen in Coimbatore, in the EMS factories, I have seen electric machines which is manufactured 100 years ago is still running, right? So in terms of machines, the life is really longer, and of course, even if you have to dispose it off, it is not a big problem. In terms of power electronics, I would say the IGBTs and the wafers, that is the only most critical part. All other electronics component can be the silicon materials can be reused, and the copper components in the electronics can be reused, and the wafer in the MOSFET is has to be handled properly. And the third comes the battery. Battery disposal is even more critical and even more hazardous to the society. What is currently or the blessing in disguise is that the material lithium, if you use lithium ion battery, and the material lithium can be recycled infinite times, okay, as many times as you need. So you have a lot of possibility for recycling all the materials used in the lithium battery. But what happens in reality? Okay, that is what we have to discuss here. In reality, what happens is the government of India now has come out with a guideline saying that the battery manufacturers or the electric vehicle manufacturers should come out with the recycling or the hazardous handling procedures, and they have to submit to the government. They have to get an approval or certification. Then only they will be able to manufacture. So these hazards, there is a method to disassemble, reuse, or handle it, and there is a process being followed. This process is put in place. Even at Ola Electric, we have a process put for already in place for this battery handling. One minute, I am not able to. Hello. Can you otherwise type? I'm not able to hear this properly. Is there some problem at your end? I'm sorry, I'm not able to hear. Is the rest of the people can hear you? Is that a problem with me only? Or can somebody call me also on the mobile is fine. Mr. Balamurli, can you repeat this? Or is I can see some message. I'm not able to hear you. Why it is suddenly? You are not audible.
Sir, now can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yes.
Okay. So some network issue on my side. Okay, sir.
No problem.
So Ms. Abhirami has asked, how is the job opportunity in this field, and how to approach and seek the opportunities, and how to enroll for such opportunities in this field?
Yeah, opportunities are tremendous. Actually, there is, you know, that India needs at least 5 lakh engineers right now, where we are not ready. Yeah. In terms of opportunity, it is huge. What I would say, the skills that you need to develop. Of course, people are in their streams. There is opportunity for engineers in mechanical, electrical, electronics, and software. So every stream, they have to at least get into the EV domain. So acquire some domain skills and acquire some knowledge on the electric motors, power electronics. If you are using, if you are embedded engineer, for example, you should know how to write these power electronics and things like that. That is probably one knowledge that we have to think. And many companies going for campus interviews, you can appear for that. There are growing recruitments happening in electric mobility area, and we are also going to all the colleges. So that means there is a huge opportunity, not only here, and there is also a huge opportunity coming up all over the world. Yeah. So approach. I mean, maybe one is through campus interview. Prepare yourself towards electric domain, electric mobility area, and the third is approach the companies who are in electric mobility, HRs and things like that. That anyway, the college would contact and organize.
Yes, sir. So added to that question, Mr. V. Arun Saravanan has asked, he's an electrical engineer, he's pursuing electrical engineering, and what are the skills needed to develop in order to work in this industry?
Electrical engineer means I will tell you very clearly. This is what we are lacking is electrical. We have something called the fundamental engineering, right? We are moved away from fundamental engineering. Electrical machine design, I don't know. This is one subject. There's, as I told you, it's a different type of machines. So there is a lot of activity happening in machine design, for example. So that is one area. Then secondly, the power electronics. What is required for the future is mainly power electronics. If you look at the electric vehicle, except the machine and battery, the rest of it is power electronics. Yeah, IGBTs, MOSFETs, based electronics. How do you do this motor? Motor is driven by the MOSFET circuits or gate driver circuits, and you have a gate driver. And how do we integrate this? And how do you have a closed loop control, a vector control on the electric machine? And that is a huge subject, and that has got huge opportunity. And power electronics also there in chargers, charging systems and control systems, and DC-DC converter. So power electronics, one subject, very good opportunity, and you should be thorough with that. Motor control is another subject, and motor design itself is a big area. So all these three for an electrical engineer, I mean, there is a very good future that is they should focus.
Yes, sir. And most of the participants have asked, like only Chinese, Koreans, Germans, Japan design are accepted in case of electro locomotives. But why the Indian manufacturer that is not being recognized, or why
because
we cannot compete?
Yeah, very clear. It is, we are not focusing on basic engineering. So how many years? See how many electric machines are designed in India. Yeah. So we are only looking at all hi-fi technologies, ignoring the fundamental engineering. That's what I'm saying. So we have to focus on fundamental engineering. A lot of designers should emerge, because people get fascinated by the IT jobs, right? But that becomes a problem. IT skills are required. Definitely, I'm not saying this is all artificial intelligence, machine learning is also going to play a good role in electric mobility. But what is really important is the fundamental engineering, electrical machine design, power electronics design. If we are not focusing, we feel that, or we have the hype that only those IT is very important, right? When people started feeling that the fundamental engineering is very important, the core engineering is very important, the things will automatically get transformed. And there's a lot of companies now relying on India, especially Japan are coming, Korea. I mean, the future generation, except China, yeah. You look at Germany, Korea, and all, they are now have a recognition for Indian engineers. But what we have to focus is we have to go deep into the fundamental engineering, or let's say electrical machine design. If you say electrical machine design, you should be thorough with a different type of machine design, and how to improve the efficiency, how to improve the optimization, how to improve the controllability. All this you should be thorough in the design. So how many engineers are like that is here in India? Even in the top class institute also it is not there. That is their real truth, yeah, which we are facing. So even the institution should focus, the faculty should focus, even the individual students, next generation should focus on getting into core engineering.
Yes.
Then the things will change.
Yes, sir. We'll take up two more questions, sir. Electric vehicles need batteries. Is it possible to produce high quality batteries at a reasonable cost?
That's a picture I've shown you. How we are improved. See, in 1990, the 1 kilowatt lithium-ion battery was $1,000. Okay, and in 2020, 1 kilowatt lithium-ion battery is $150. So much has come down, right? So quality is increased, if efficiency is increased, cost has come down. Now you take a challenge. Next 10 years, I bring it to $10. Please take that challenge. So much that we have done, right? So it is possible.
Yes, sir. And we'll take up the last question, sir. So, is it possible to convert petrol vehicle to e-vehicle? If it is possible, what are the changes and the cost implication? And why immediate e-car market is not rising?
See, e-car market is not rising. Definitely, people mindset should change. People should think that they should buy electric vehicle only. Though the price is marginally high now, only the buying price. The running prices are much cheaper. Yeah, 2 rupees per kilometer if you use a gasoline car, minimum, right? The smallest car. And the electricity, if you use power, the same thing is 1/10 or 40 paise per kilometer. So running cost is less. Initial investment is high because of the battery cost. People have to have that mindset that even though the battery cost is still high, I will buy, and has to change, and that is not changing. Secondly, existing car can be retrofitted. It's a very good question. The existing car can be retrofitted with EV system. So you need to have motor, controller, battery, and some auxiliary system, charging circuit to make it to electric. And it's simple. So there is a 2 days back, somebody from some college in Karnataka, they converted Tata Nano into electric. And the total cost was 1.5 lakhs, including the car. So they bought the car in second hand, 40,000 rupees. They spent lots of the money in the battery and all that. And they could run 50 kilometers with this for single charge. So there is a lot of samples also there, cases are there, and that system should emerge, and people can take a lot of opportunity. Some business can also emerge in this area, and the government also now have a regulation for retrofitting. They are allowing now.
Yes, sir.
Earlier it was not there.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. On behalf of Chennai Institute of Technology, thank you for spending your valuable time. And we definitely gain knowledge, and every individual has to put in their contribution towards this industry, emerging one. So definitely we'll do it, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you, all the participants. You will be receiving the feedback link along with the e-certificate to your mail ID. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mother.